Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel for my review of Captain America the Winter Soldier. And yes, Captain America is back. The Phase 2 movies have been a rocky start with Iron Man 3 and Thor the Dark World, but luckily Captain America the Winter Soldier is awesome. Some say it might be the best of the MCU movies. It's definitely up there for me. From the stealth suit and the use of the shield to the elevator fight scene, this movie is probably the best Captain America movie, so I'm very excited to talk to it. Before we get into it though, hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more Marvel reviews. And if you want to help support and grow the channel, you can check the link down below and you can buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks and appreciate it, everybody. Now let's get into Captain America the Winter Soldier. So I like this whole opening we got from Steve running laps around Sam and saying on your left, and just their whole interaction and building up Sam Wilson as a character. And then I love the mission on the ship and Steve, and we get to see the stealth suit in action, and he just jumps out of the plane with no parachute on, and then he takes out all the guys, all the crew, and then he takes out Batroc. And then Nat's like doing her own thing, taking people out on a side mission. And it's just a great way to set up Cap and kind of this new version of Cap, I suppose. And he just utilizes that shield really well. He fights really well. And I really love the stealth suit. It's probably my favorite of the Captain America suits. And then Nat is also great too. She does her spy thing. And so I do love Nat and kind of Steve. She's always like asking about his dating life, and you should ask this girl out and stuff, and I just think that's a lot of fun, and they kind of do it throughout the movie. So I really love this opening. It really kind of sets up the movie, and it's just really awesome. There's a quick moment, but I love the scene with Steve and old Peggy. For me, it's kind of heartbreaking because I love them so much. I love the Peggy Carter character so much, and I just watched that Agent Carter Marvel one-shot for the first time. And I just love Peggy Carter. I think she's awesome, and I'm probably going to rewatch the Agent Carter TV show again just because I love it so much. But I do love that scene because it's really heartbreaking to see Cap and that relationship with Peggy, and it didn't work out the way he wanted it to. And when she, forgets who he is, and then, he says, she still owes him one last dance and everything. To me, that was heartbreaking because I really love them, and I think it kind of symbolizes Steve's transition out of that era of time and into the modern day. So I do love that scene. So we know Cap has been working for S.H.I.E.L.D. ever since he got unfrozen from the ice. We find out that S.H.I.E.L.D. has more helicarriers and that they've weaponized them to take out potential threats. Even at one point they call out Doctor Strange because they say that it can find future potential threats, which is kind of interesting. But, this is where we kind of learned that S.H.I.E.L.D. is a little bit shady and that Steve is not comfortable working in that gray area. Another great scene is where Fury is being attacked in the car, and then the Winter Soldier shows up. So we get introduced to the Winter Soldier assassin. And Fury pulls out his Mace Windu lightsaber and cuts a hole in the ground to escape. And then he fakes his own death this way. But luckily he's obviously not dead. But that's kind of a cool scene. And I like the shot of the Winter Soldier. And he's mysterious as for now. But it's just really cool. And it kind of kicks off this political conspiracy theory type plot that we're doing with this movie, which is really fun. We also get introduced to Agent 13, Steve's nurse neighbor. We learn later that she is Sharon Carter, the niece or great-niece of Peggy Carter. I noticed this time the music playing when Steve goes into his apartment after meeting Sharon and Nick Fury's there. It's the same music that's playing when Steve and Peggy dance at the very end of Avengers Endgame. It's that same exact song. So I thought that was a nice little touch that they brought that back for Endgame, and it is kind of like an old-timey song. Steve probably wouldn't have known it, so I do like that little touch. Then Cap kind of becomes a fugitive from S.H.I.E.L.D., so he and Nat go on the run, and then they meet up with Computer Armanzola, and we learn that Hydra has infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. from the beginning, pretty much. And then there's some awesome action. Fight scene under the freeway bridge, and then we learn that the Winter Soldier is Bucky, which obviously, stops Steve and complicates things a bit. And then we learn Nick Fury is not actually dead, surprise. So all of that stuff is good. I love that fight scene. I love Black Widow trying to take on the Winter Soldier. I love how Steve uses the shield. He curls up and, braces all the bullets firing at him, and then we get Falcon in here with his wings and everything. So I really love the action in this movie throughout. I think it's really top notch. Some of the best in the Marvel MCU. And then of course we get the ending where they take out S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra and the Helicarriers, and we get Falcon in there flying around fighting. He's pretty cool. And then we get Steve versus Bucky again, and then we get Natasha and Nick Fury. The whole scene with the council, and they're taking out Alexander Pierce, who's the head of Hydra. So it's a really cool climax to the movie. I really like them bringing in Falcon, Sam Wilson, as a character to help out. He does have the wings, but he's also military trained. And then he goes one-on-one with Rumlow, and then Natasha is like pretending to be the councilwoman and doing her spy thing against Alexander Pierce, and all that stuff is really fun. And we even get Maria Hill in here for a little bit at the end. She's there doing something. Agent 13 kind of gets a moment. And so it's just kind of a really cool end fight scene. And of course, Cap puts on the suit from the Captain America Museum, which is a replica of the suit that he wore in Captain America the First Avenger. So that's pretty cool. Although I do love the stealth suit, because he left S.H.I.E.L.D. wearing the stealth suit, and then he was just in street clothes. So I don't know. Maybe he left it at his apartment. I don't know why he didn't stash it somewhere and couldn't have gone back, but he had to go and get the replica suit from the museum, which is still pretty cool. And of course, there's a whole section in the museum about Bucky, and then of course at the very end credit, Winter Soldier goes in and reads all about Bucky because he wants to know who he is, who his identity is. And there's a lot of good stuff in this movie with Bucky being the Winter Soldier but not remembering Steve, and Steve trying to get Bucky. And then of course he says that I'm with you till the end of the line. So there's a lot of good stuff in there with the Winter Soldier and Bucky and Steve, and this climax I think is just really good and really well done. Not only does this movie have a lot of great action scenes, but it's a political thriller plot at its heart. Not knowing who tried to kill Fury, finding out Alexander Pierce is running Hydra, the mystery of the Winter Soldier, then being Bucky, and it's all just done in a really great way. You could take the superhero elements out of this movie, and it would still just be a really good movie, I think. And I think that's why this movie holds up a lot better than maybe some of the other MCU movies, because the story comes first. It just happens to be about Captain America. So I think that's really done well. So this movie does an excellent job about balancing the tone. It's a spy film, it's an action film, but it does have peppered in some great scenes of humor throughout, with Steve and Nat talking about the dating life and everything. And then, we get a great scene with Nat where she's talking to Steve about how she traded the KGB in for Hydra, and she's really confused. So we get a lot of good character moments, but there's also still some points of levity throughout that I think kind of really balance that out, prevents it from getting kind of too dark, from getting too dark or too boring or anything. So I think that's one of the things that this movie did really well. It's a really great character journey for Steve. We move Steve out of the past and into the modern day. The thing about Cap is that he always has a moral center, and in this movie he learns that what used to guide his moral center, working for the government and being a soldier, is no longer the same thing. They're now in opposition of each other, and he has to kind of learn how to work with that and while still maintaining his integrity and moral compass. And so it's really interesting, the journey that Steve goes on, sort of having to, learning that what he used to trust in the government, he can no longer trust anymore, and he has to just follow his own instincts. And so I really like that. There's also a small character arc with Black Widow in this. You know, she starts off the movie being very comfortable, keeping secrets and operating in the gray area, doing the side missions for Fury. And then when she learns that S.H.I.E.L.D. is been compromised by Hydra, she doesn't really know what to do. And then she learns to trust in Steve, and that whatever side Steve is on is going to be the right side to be on. And I think this kind of goes back to what she said in Avengers, where she has red in her ledger and she wants to wipe it out. She wants to start taking those steps to getting that. And we definitely see that character progression throughout the MCU with the character. So it's a subtle character arc, but I think it's really good in this movie. And then, of course, her just becoming friends with Steve, I think, is a really great relationship as well. So I don't think this is my favorite of the Marvel movies, but it might be number 2 or number 3, honestly. I think Infinity War is still my favorite. But I just love this movie so much. If it's on TV, I have to watch it. It's great from start to finish. It's got great action, some good moments of comedy. It introduces Sam Wilson very well. It furthers Steve's arc, furthers Black Widow's arc. We even kind of get some more with Nick Fury and everything. And obviously the breakdown of S.H.I.E.L.D. has ramifications going forward as well. And so I just really think this is just a great movie. It really shows what comic book movies could become. They don't always have to just be these campy, superhero, jokey, fest, fun movies. They can be taken seriously. And so I think that's what this movie does well. So I really love Captain America the Winter Soldier. I think it kind of really ups Captain America to sort of an A-list comic book superhero. Yeah, so those are my thoughts on Captain America the Winter Soldier. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you guys love it? And what do you guys think about Captain America as a superhero in general? So thank you everybody for watching the video, and until next time, I'm with you till the end of the line. Bye.